Well, good morning. You saw me perhaps glancing to the left or right a bit. Our video program got updated, so I'm a little nervous with my lack of tech abilities. But that aside, welcome to Morning Manna. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 12. I've got a handful of verses to turn to, and I'd encourage you to have a pencil handy to jot these down or maybe give an underline or a star in your margin because these verses are so helpful, as all verses are to us. But 1 Corinthians 13:12, the Apostle Paul says, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, just as I also am known." Point I'd like to capitalize on is we see dimly, dimly in a mirror right now, and I was brought back to memory to having grown up in the Bay Area. On occasion, we'd go over to Santa Cruz to the boardwalk, and the roller coaster is what it's renowned for. But us boys, what we really enjoyed was the fun house, going down that massive hardwood slide on potato sacks or burlap bags, really going lightning fast, as we thought. But en route to the magnificent slide was a wall of mirrors with great distortions, somehow, however that works in glassware, worked into them. And we'd look really short and quite rotund, or really tall and very slender, like a string bean. Or our bodies would be all wobbly and so forth. You've been in goofy, with goofy mirrors before, or dim mirrors. And dare I suggest the Apostle Paul, well, that suggests he states that we see very dimly. We see dimly, not accurately. We don't really get the big picture. We must remember that in life. That's the point I'm trying to make. We must remember that in life on this side of eternity. Let me just draw out a couple verses with that in mind. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12 and 13. Allow me to read these to you. 1 Peter 4, 12 and 13. Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. It kind of reminds me of what Paul had just previously said in 1 Corinthians 13 there. Here Peter says, don't think it's strange concerning a fiery trial, as if some strange thing has happened to you. No, that's reality. We think it's distorted, or I can at times think it's distorted when some strange fiery trial comes. Well, let's go to the book of Hebrews. In the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, and 2 verses from this chapter. In Hebrews 12, my son, do not despise, verse 5, the chastening of the Lord, nor be discouraged when you are rebuked by him. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. So here the writer of Hebrews is saying, don't despise these things. They're working in good to you. And in fact, on down in this same chapter, in verse 11, no chastening seems to be joyful for the moment, of course not, but painful. Nevertheless, afterward, oh, that's when the clarity comes in. Afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who've been trained by it. Another one, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17. Our light affliction, 2 Corinthians 4:17, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we do not look at the things which are seen, but the things which are not seen. The things which are seen, this light affliction, are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. This eternal weight of glory. These things these difficulties that we travel through, we think them strange, we think them dim or distorted. Oh, but we'll see clearly in heaven. Two more verses. Going back to Hebrews again. Back to Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Now, remember this. We talked about the distortion. But here we have one, the glorious one who's with us. We do not have, Hebrews 4:15, a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Our Lord Jesus, he sympathizes, he understands. He travels with us through these things, yet he's navigated these things without sin. But we're invited, verse 16, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. He sympathizes, he's available, he welcomes us to request to come boldly for help. And then finally, in the book of Psalms, Psalm 34, the 34th Psalm, verse 19, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Psalm 34:19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. So when you walk by your mirror, when you brush your teeth or comb your hair today, or you walk by a window and you see things, realize that in heaven you'll really see things clearly. God bless you this day. Maranatha.